take a flight to Chicago, pick up a flight to Amsterdam to go teach a private pen testing class on Monday, because when you work for yourself, life is a bitch, just like when you work for somebody else. Customer says, well, if you don't do it on the Monday after DerbyCon halfway across the world, you're going to lose the contract and you're not going to get any more. So fuck you, Georgia. It's like, all right, I guess I'm going to get off the stage and go to the airport instead of hanging out with these fine people for another day. It makes me really sad. Are we ready to go? Okay. You know, I can just stand up here and do stand-up comedy for an hour or so. All right, so we're going to talk about burning the enterprise with bring your own device, hence the title slide. Anybody here have bring your own device policies at work? A few people. The rest of you, you're probably on the right track. But chances are you're going to get one too, because one of your C-level executives is going to get an iPad for Christmas and all the shit's going to go down. So, bring your own device. When I first saw BYOD, I was like, oh, bring your own drink. I like that. I'm good with the bring your own drink. Unfortunately, that's not exactly what they meant. But then I sat around and thought about it for a bit, and it's like, we've been bringing our own device for a really, really long time. You know, my first job out of grad school, it's really only a matter of time before I'm going to knock this thing over. You realize this. It's very flimsy. I'm going to be the first person who brought down the podium. I'm not funny. You don't have to laugh. It gets them every time. All right, so we've been bringing our own device for a while. You know, my first job out of grad school, I was a contractor for the government. I didn't work on Prism. I'm a little bit upset about this. They didn't let me in on the whole show with the Prism thing. But they didn't. But my main company gave me a laptop. They even gave me administrative rights on it so I could install whatever malware I felt like. And I took it into the company, you know, the nice government agency. I plugged it into the network. It ran some sort of security scan against it. It deemed it good enough to be on the network. And suddenly I had network connectivity and I could talk to other devices, and maybe I have the source code of Prism, who knows? Wow, I'm really not funny. So we have our bring your own device laptops for years and years now. Access points. I mean, the worst thing that ever happened to security is Sony put out their PlayStation Portable and it only supported WEP. And I am the CEO of a company and I would like to play my PlayStation Portable at work. You don't support WEP? Well, what are we going to do about it? Kill the security people. Kill them all. We're going to bring in our own wireless access point. This is probably even worse than WEP. It's probably open. I mean, let's be honest here. You know, I live out in the middle of nowhere, so I don't really have to worry about this stuff. My neighbors are not in range of my Wi-Fi. It's very difficult for me to make my printer get on the wireless. So, you know, I just leave my wireless access point open. This is the same way I feel about my phone, honestly, because we're supposed to be talking about phones. But theoretically, you should put a password on your phone, right? Who here puts a password on their phone? Anybody? Good people. If you get nothing out of this talk, put a password on your phone. Because I have a good story about this. Last week, I was in Cali, Colombia. You know, like not Columbia, Maryland, like the place where the drugs are. And I left my phone unlocked, and I left it in someone's room, and he read all my emails, and now I'm in trouble. So lock your phone. Forget about all of the security things. Just put a password on your phone and don't make it your other boyfriend's name. That doesn't work. Let's not spill drink down ourselves. That would be bad. And then everybody's favorite, of course. I mean, who here ever had a game system in their break room? Nobody? A couple people? You should really insist. Because, you know, your game systems, they're not running some, branched Linux kernel or anything. They couldn't possibly, compile an exploit and run it against the network. Never. So if bring your own device has been going on all this time, why are we so upset about it all of a sudden? Why is it a buzzword? Wow, we're already 10 minutes in and I'm still on slide 2. I'd better hurry up. So mobile. Why is mobile making such a big deal? Is it because we're obsessed with it? I know I am. If I lose my phone, the whole world's gonna go to hell. Luckily, I have 7 phones, so I can just turn on another one and hope someone hasn't hacked the one that I lost. But this is all I could come up with. The reason we are so upset is because mobile devices like to communicate out of band. Anybody here, it's their job to monitor all the traffic going out of the network and IDS and all that stuff. I feel really sorry for you people. How do you live? I mean, that must be awful. I heard a really good joke about this the other day. So, how do you fix all of those snort alerts? You just encrypt everything with SSL so the snort box can't read it anymore, and then no alerts, right? No problem. If it's not showing up on my expensive box, it didn't happen. We can do the same thing with mobile. Let's just send all of our traffic out over text message, and then we will just solve all of our security problems. None of your expensive devices will ever pop an alert ever again, because we can't see it. So I guess that's why we're upset. We like to be able to see everything our employees are doing on their Facebook. Farmville for the win. I miss the old days. But on our mobile devices, so we can attach to our local network perhaps, get data, get our emails, talk to whoever we wish. But potentially any data we're sending to the outside, it could be going through that mobile modem. And we have to leave that up to the carrier. And, well, the NSA apparently, because, I don't even have to give this talk anymore about how our mobile modems are all damned, because the NSA did it for me. They said, oh, we're listening to all your mobile traffic, so fuck all of you. I say fuck a lot, I apologize. So, I want to put a device on the network, i.e. my iPhone, Android, Windows Mobile, or BlackBerry device. Well, what are we going to do about it? Well, what have we been doing about it all this time? We've been scanning it. And if it passes the scan, it's good enough to be here. So I, just for shits and giggles, ran Nessus against my iPhone, and this is what it came up with. I've never seen a PC scan that good. What? You guys patch against MSO 8067? I don't. I love base installs of Windows XP Service Pack 2. They are my favorite virtual machines. And they should be yours too. Not. Alright, so this is what my scan came up with. And this is what the iPhone was actually up to. Well, it was jailbroken. Our mobile device management solutions like to say, well, we can detect jailbreaking. You know what they can actually detect? They can detect the Cydia app. Or on the Android, they can detect the binary system bin SU. Well, what if I call it something else? Oops. All falls down. It also had SSH installed with the default root password. I feel like if we can detect Cisco on our Cisco devices, not actually fix it, but detect it and put it in our reports, so we've actually done something on our pen tests. I think we could probably detect that my mobile device has a root password that's default to, and it's not subject to anything MDM. So I guess I would probably say our scanners fail. So what are we going to do about it? I mean, the problem is, you can be like, well, all of our big companies, they have all these mobile device management rules and things, and yes, some of your big companies do. But pretty much every company I've ever walked into where I've said, I would like to put my mobile device on the network, they've just given me the wireless password and I was sent on my merry way. Oops. So let's talk a little bit about these threats. If mobile devices are so frightening, there has to be some sort of threat, right? I mean, how can this little guy up here actually hurt anybody? Everybody's favorite, applications. Anybody here obsessed with apps? I should put both hands up. Nobody? You're not obsessed with apps? Apps are old? Okay, then I'm the only one here who's obsessed with apps. I am. I love to download apps. Seriously, the more apps the better. I downloaded about 7 mobile antivirus apps the other day. None of them caught any of my malware, unfortunately, but you know, they were cool. They had good front ends. But our applications that we're putting on our devices, and your customers and your, employees are putting on their devices could potentially be malicious. I think Charlie Miller gave a talk last week where he said, mobile is all hype and you guys should go see Jason Street. But, I get on the stage anyways. But our mobile devices, all those applications on there could be potentially stealing your data, remotely controlling the device, all sorts of other shit we're going to get into today. And this happens on all platforms. Everybody likes to pick on Android, including me. But Android is currently the top-selling platform. Everybody loves Android. Why do we love Android? Because it's really, really easy to develop for it. Nobody likes iPhone. They can make it as many colors as they want. iPhone is dead. That's not a full bullet down there at the bottom. Originally these slides were white on black and I tried to change it around. Apparently I didn't do a very good job. What else is new? Everybody accuses me of having bad slides. People say you shouldn't put bullet points in slides. You should just put pictures of cats. Yeah. Well, if your employees are bringing in a device, do you know everything about all the apps on them? What about the apps that came pre-installed? What about every app that they installed through the Play Store? What about everything they side-loaded? I give up. People are like, Georgia, how are you going to fix all these problems you talk about? And I say, I give up. I'm going to go be an artist and leave you all to this. I'm going to be a pop star. I've got the outfit for it. All I have to do is come up with a good song. One hit, that's all it takes. But we should just stop now. Apps is all it takes. These apps are just disastrous. I give up. But let's pretend I didn't give up after the apps. What about some software bugs? Anybody here? No. This is a challenge. Nobody's ever been able to meet my challenge. Has anybody here ever written a piece of software that was completely free of bugs? Anyone? No one. All right. Someone back there. So somebody said they once wrote Hello World and it was completely free of bugs? Perhaps. But did you do it with string copy? Oops. Oh, you guys took Corlin's class. String copy is like Honey Badger. It just don't care. No, I promise people I won't steal their course content, but that I'm stealing. String copy is like Honey Badger. It just don't care. I'm going to say it again. But our software has bugs. When the iPhone first came out and it called itself, the greatest of the security things, and everything on the entire device ran as root, including the browser, people were surprised by this. What? It's a device that has vulnerabilities in it. Who knew? Having now written some software myself, I feel like, I am at one with all the developers in the world because it is really hard to write stuff without bugs, right? You just need one, and then they plaster your ass all over the internet as a bad coder, and they make you cry. No, really, I feel bad. The people at iPhone, the people at Apple who spend all this time trying to write this perfectly secure stuff, and they release their new version, and they throw down the gauntlet, and they say no one will ever jailbreak this device. And, it's a week later, and some kid who's like 12 does it. I feel bad for them. I honestly, I would like to send them a nice letter about how much it must suck. But maybe we should just accept that bugs happen and every device in our network is vulnerable. Maybe I'm just too doom and gloom about it at this point, because I've done too many pen tests, and I've come back the next year, and they fixed everything I told them to. So, you know, it was 2009, and we come back in 2010, and we have no Microsoft patches from 2009 missing anymore. But guess what? All of them from 2010 are missing. We're obviously missing the point here. I mean, patch management, what's that? No, I'm the worst. The worst people you will ever get for security are people who teach security, because they start with the basics, right? So I've got all of these virtual machines all over my network: Windows XP Service Pack 2, War FTP 1.65 that we're going to look at today. So by all means, hack my network. You'll have root in an instance. I already told you I had an open wireless access point. All you have to do is find out where I live, and you can get all my encrypted emails. They're not that exciting. So bugs are going to happen. Your browsers are going to have bugs. Your apps are going to have bugs. We talk a lot about people writing malicious applications. What about the applications they didn't mean for them to be malicious? Still have bugs in them. It's still over. I told you I didn't have anything to say that was particularly that cool, but everything's got bugs in it. Wow. I am a thought leader now. That was funny. You should laugh. Social engineering. See, here's the thing. I always thought that social engineering is what people who didn't really have any content to talk about talked about. You know, if you want to speak at a conference and you don't know what you're talking about, you don't have any code, you come and you give a talk about social engineering and everybody claps for you and everything's great. But then I started doing social engineering engagements, and I realized everything they're saying is actually true. Who would click on a link in an email? Well, everybody, apparently. You know, I wake up early enough in the morning and you tell me you're going to give me $1 million. I've always had this theory. If I could just find the one Nigerian prince who really does want to give me all his money. Just the one. I just have to find the right one. There's got to be somebody out there who wants to give me all their money. Well, let's pretend. Perfect world, right? Nothing bad ever happened to anybody. And nobody in your enterprise will ever click on a link in an email. And if you've ever done social engineering engagements, no, really, I've kind of gone out of my way to try not to get people to click on it. Like, I sent an email that said, hey, this is a phishing attack. Please don't click on this link. I think my success rate was about 45%, honestly. I can't make this stuff up. Really, it just happens. They just click on everything. I can't stop them. Because that's, I guess, you know, if I had my nervous breakdown up here on stage, I'd have to say that you're the people in the audience, and there's what, a couple hundred of you, there's like maybe 1,000 people here. What about everybody else? If I can't put a password on my phone, we're all just damned. It's over. Well, let's just say, for the sake of argument, nobody's going to click on a link in their email. Will they click on a link in their text messages? Well, it's text. When was the last time you ever heard that text could hurt you? Well, you know, format string vulnerabilities, but nobody knows about that unless they've read books. I don't read books. Nobody reads books anymore. They're all on your iPad-y things. I really am going to bring this podium down by the end of this. Well, can we perhaps trick users into opening malicious links via text message? Well, Jason's making them laugh harder than you. What the hell? Laugh right now, all of you. Gets them every time. Can we perhaps get them to download malicious applications? See, this was complicated. I once got this text message from one of my cell phone carriers, and it said, please download the security application. And it came from number like 1234, which, you know, we can mess with SMS header data to make that happen. I downloaded the app. It sent me to some nice little third-party app store out there. Had a nice, T-Mobile header out there. Yeah, we're totally T-Mobile right now. I feel sad for T-Mobile if that's the best they can do for a security app. But one way or another, I downloaded it. So if our users are actually being taught, we should totally click on links and text messages. They'll give us security apps. Well, I can send that too. And I can send that to your customers and your employees. I am the devil in disguise. Well, apparently not in a very good disguise. And of course, apparently they're fighting with us right now. They want to see who can yell the loudest. I won't ask you to yell again. I know you're all hungover. Everybody's favorite is jailbreaking. If you're ever bored one Saturday, seriously, go sit out in front of your local supermarket and take a poll on people's thoughts on jailbreaking their mobile devices. Really, the 80-year-old ladies are the best. They will get you every time with their theories on the Cydia App Store. I was just blown away by people's thoughts about jailbreaking. But everybody wants to root or jailbreak their device. And I don't really get why. I never bothered to do mine except for classes. I mean, I just use them to, text and email and play with Twitter. But people seem to think that jailbreaking is the way to go. What are you really doing when you're jailbreaking? I mean, these people have some really weird names. You are taking someone whose name is like Post-6 Ninja. I mean, come on. This person is never going to do anything malicious to you ever. And you're saying, by all means, please get root privileges on my device and do whatever you would like. I would love to download your software, not only to my device, but also to my computer. 2-for-1 deal. You can have my computer and my phone. I gotta get out of this business. I'm gonna be a jailbreaker. Then I'll have 1 million Twitter followers and, you guys will not be as cool as me. I'm not funny. Can you detect jailbreaking in your enterprise? Anybody here, you think your mobile device management solution can 100% detect jailbreaking? Good guys. Well, let me ask another question. Anybody's mobile device management solution they have in the enterprise say it can? A few people. Yeah. But you've obviously got the right idea. It's really just looking for the payload. Nothing says it absolutely has to show the payload. We can just, destroy your device if we want to. So we kind of talked about my little tool last year, SPF. But then I started to think, maybe mobile is not the answer. Our mobile devices, in the end, only have a certain subset of our data. I want to be a Windows hacker. I'm just not cool enough to write DLLs. So, how can I, as a lowly mobile attacker, make myself into a security god? And this is what I came up with. I got onto your device in various ways, social engineering, software bugs, apps, jailbreaking, you just giving it up and telling me, please, by all means, take control of my device. Well, I'm on your device. What else can I now see? Oops. Well, again, some of you may be doing this right. You may be segregating your mobile devices, and you should be. You should absolutely segregate your mobile devices in the network. But again, I worked for a government agency. I have seen segregation at its best. It took us weeks to hunt down all the printers, and we never found all of them. Seriously, that's not funny? You guys obviously haven't worked in enough government agencies. Segregation just doesn't happen. I've got the Wi-Fi password, I put it on my iPhone. And then we can just start attacking everything else. The problem with your phones ultimately is that they work the same way as all of your other computers. They can run exploit code. By default, on every platform I've looked at, you don't even have to ask for permission to download any shit you want to your phone and run it. We can make it executable. It's owned by us. We can run it. So I can just take exploit code and run it on my phone. I'm far, far away in some weird galaxy with a Death Star. I don't watch Star Wars. I just pretend to be as cool as you. But I can run exploit code and start attacking your other devices in the Enterprise. Because let's be honest here. Anybody here does any pen testing work? Nobody? Really? Alright. Well, I do a lot of pen testing. And I do external pen tests. And then I cry because this is going to be boring as shit. Because most people, apparently not most people based on H.D. Moore's talk that says like all the world is still having all this vulnerability shit on the internet. But most of the people who are at least buying pen tests, because we got to be honest here, the people with the real shit aren't even buying pen tests. But if they're buying pen tests, they are saying, we are going to keep the internet secure. So I see, you know, a VPN, maybe a web server, but let's be honest, they're probably hosting it off-site, so it's out of scope anyways. I get this really boring report that says, yeah, you have SSL version 2 enabled. You should fix that. But this joke is lost on you because you guys don't pen test. You should. Do an internal pen test, all the shit goes down. And I can totally understand it, because I can't keep my local network secure. I feel for the people who have to do internal security, and that's why I don't do it anymore. But vulnerabilities are going to happen. You give one user administrative rights on their computer, and it's all just going to go down. They're going to install something. It's going to be old and out of date. You know, it happens to me all the time. I'm not sure why, but all of my applications want to update themselves while I'm on stage. I can't update them right now, so I say later, and it gets back to me, and you know, I've got a vulnerable version of Java, and I don't notice this. I'm the worst case scenario for security. Let's just be honest here. But, alright, so let's say we have a really, really secure company, right? I've never seen one. Well, okay. Once, I saw a company that would not allow me to get any data past the perimeter. They were doing some really good perimeter stuff. Perimeter stuff. That's how I wrote it in the report, too. You guys are doing some good perimeter stuff. Keep it up. But in this one case, because again, I'm not sure if I've said it yet, but I like to solve problems that do not exist. That is my job. Problems that are not actually functional in the real world, that's me. But say we had an environment. They've got vulnerabilities, but we can't actually get back out to the internet. They get a big checkbox next to their pen test because they did a good job. We cannot exfiltrate data from their bank. Good for them. Well, what if I can compromise a mobile device? Because let's just give up here. I mean, mobile devices are out of date and vulnerable to everything. Mobile device walks into the network one day, connects to the Wi-Fi. We start attacking other devices. We can't call out to the internet. Ouch, it hurts. You have to be a domain authenticated user. Fuck you, security team. You were just messing with me. Well, our mobile devices have a TCP/IP stack. Why don't I just open a listener on it? I'll show you, security team. I'll just open a listener on my local network, on the mobile device, and I'll send it out via text message. If you've ever been to any of my talks, you know I am in love with text messaging because it's completely insecure, and I love that. My first talk ever, little like side piece of trivia, it only came about because I once sent a text message I shouldn't have, and I thought, I should really stop myself from sending text messages when I'm drunk. Now I just give talks when I'm drunk, so I've obviously fixed this problem. But that's how I created my SMS botnet. So here we are. So what if I can just send the shell out via the cell phone, via the mobile modem? Oops, I just bypassed all your filtering. Which takes us right back to the beginning. We like to see what's going out of the network, and now we can't. Oops. I'm not funny. Not funny at all. All right. So there's a question. So my clients, they want to know if their enterprise is secure. That's what they've hired me to do. I mean, let's just totally ignore the fact that they gave me a very limited scope and I can only test certain IP addresses during certain hours and I can't phish anybody. And I mean, none of you guys do pen testing apparently, so these jokes are lost on you. But, they say, is our enterprise secure? And I have to give them a nice checkbox or a lack of checkbox and tell them to fix all this shit. And, they Google me. Like, Georgia, you do smartphone stuff. What can you tell us about the smartphones in our enterprise? Well, nothing. Your competitors, who cost a lot more than you, by the way, could they tell us about our smartphones? Nah, probably not. Well, what are you going to do about it? So that takes us back to a whole year ago when I was on the stage at DerbyCon. And I said, well, I'm going to fix this problem. I'm going to create an open source framework to fix this problem. Little did I know that all the slings and arrows of all of InfoSec were going to fall upon my back. That's not funny. You had to be there. I mean, try and fix something in InfoSec and see what happens to you. I'm not bitter. Well, so that was that and that was then. And I made something you could test stuff with. But then I thought of the other question. Once I'm on your device, what else can I potentially attack? And I really think that that's like the meat and the bones of all of it. If I had to sit down and say, like, what is the threat of mobile? People are all like, well, we segregate shit and we don't let people put this and that on their mobile device. Good for us. But I really think the problem is, what else can our mobile device see? And people are like, well, we've got, our mobile device management that's going to save us all. Seriously, I should be the mobile device management system. These people are making billions of dollars off of doing nothing. Nothing. Just like everybody else in security, I guess. I mean, mobile antivirus has got to be the biggest joke. No, I was going to do a talk, right, on mobile antivirus, like bypassing it. It quickly became obvious to me that the talk was going to be how to get caught by mobile antivirus. Because it was really that hard. Like, I really had to try to get them to see me. But, you can be like, oh, in our enterprise, we don't allow any mobile devices to see this or see that. Well, what happens when it walks home? What else went home with it? Employee laptop. Now they're on the home network together. Oops. Now I can see everything. They don't believe me. They're going to start someday. So again, I wrote this little tool that lets you do a lot of tests for mobile devices. It's all open source. You can test for pretty much everything in the mobile device sphere in terms of known vulnerabilities, malicious apps. You can backdoor any application you want. I did a little news story with ABC News and took their app and backdoored it. I'm still not sure whether I'm going to get sued about this. You want me to be on your news program, why wouldn't I use your app? They weren't particularly happy about the fact that I downloaded their application that is free, backed it up to my computer, and backdoored it. This is the world we're living in here. They don't think this can happen. We know this can happen. You wouldn't be here if you didn't. You'd go see Jason Street's talk. He's got better pictures. But we can do all sorts of nasty shit to the phone. We talked about this last year. Who here was at my talk last year? A few people. So it happened. And nothing interesting happened in my life. I am still not rich. I am still here. I wrote a big important tool that apparently was not all that important. But yet I'm still here. So I had to push the envelope some more. Maybe somebody will finally take note of what I'm doing. Probably never. So I want to show you today, we're going to exploit another device via a mobile phone. You can't do that, right? It can't really be that easy. Nah. You know, I don't do anything that sophisticated, so let's just go straight to the demos. And, you know, I gotta... May you forgive us, you demo gods. Obviously, none of you have ever given any demos if you do not understand. This is DerbyCon. If we fuck it up here, Adrian's got it forever. All right. Let's demo. Let's see if I, from an exploited mobile device, can get another device to be exploited. So, all right. The big question is, can I do it with these? All right. So I've got Kali Linux up here, and seriously, I was talking to like some Linux developer the other night, and he was like, wow, why do you people put up with this? It doesn't even have like Linux kernel headers in it. 10 minutes already? Damn, I gotta go to the airport, so I guess I better get on with it. I talk too much. There it goes. This podium's coming down. All right, so the cool thing about my mobile device framework is it lets you actually use a device you already own to send payloads to another device. We like mobile modems. I don't like going out and paying for stuff. So I went ahead and already attached this. All right, so what I want to do here is I want to deploy some sort of malicious application on another phone. So I'm going to go to number 1. Wow, this really is hard to type with. And so what we can do, we can either backdoor any like compiled APK we want or source code. I like to cheat and just do the source code just in case anything goes wrong. So I'm going to do the Google Maps demo here, but we could also do, you know, the ABC News app and get sued. So we're just going to backdoor this application so I can control it with another mobile device. It's really just my old botnet code. I love to, you know, reuse stuff year after year. I mean, you're here after all. I'm just going to backdoor it. And it's going to use the Android SDK to just build it because, you know, I like to fix problems that don't exist and make things easy, so you just have to say, do this, and it does it for you. Build successful, yay. So now I'm going to send it to the mobile device in some way. The easiest way, I think, is just send them a text message and say, hey, download this. We're curious people, aren't we? So Metasploit made an Android payload, and it's going to be awesome someday, but it's not yet. My agent is much better. You didn't see that on the tape, right? They will kill me if I say something bad about Metasploit. It only made my career, after all. Derby, whatever. And what do I want to call it? App.apk works for me. And I can deliver stuff via text message or near-field communication. Unfortunately, emulators can't do near-field communication, but you can also just, you know, walk up to somebody and hit them on the ass. And, you know, as a side note of hitting them on the ass, you could also deploy a payload to them, whatever. I mean, I like to hit people on the ass. And who do I want to send it to? I'll just send it to my other emulator. And I can change the text to whatever I want. I'll just use the default here. It just says this is a cool app. You can make it whatever you want. So basically what's happening is the SPF server talks to this device that we, the pen tester, own and uses that mobile modem. And then we send a text message to this guy over here. This is a cool app. You should really use custom text. Surely we can do better than this is a cool app. No one ever accused me of being creative. That's why I'm an InfoSec and not being an artist. But seriously, we should make a television show about InfoSec. We would be huge. So I open up the application, because, you know, everybody thinks we're so cool, right? We should just, you know, do a little reality show about, this is my life. So it looks like the Google Maps demo. The user can even close it. It doesn't matter. It's all just listening in the background. So now we can actually remotely control this device. So we can do this via an app, via client-side shell, whatever you like. So any of the ways we talked about getting on the device, we can now control it. So now I can attach to it from the server. And I just tell it, like, whatever I told it to check in at, which I don't even remember, honestly. That's probably, I guess, the problem. I guess I probably said Android Agent 1. It'll be pretty bad if I didn't. Wow, typing is hard. Android Agent 1. And key 1 is the key. I always use key 1. You can always tell if I'm in your environment because I always use the same key. And that's why I always set my passwords on my phone to the name of my other boyfriend. Oops. I'm totally gonna get this talk seen by my real boyfriend and he's gonna hate me. What else is new? So this takes about a minute to actually happen because we don't control this device. Obviously in this case we actually do because it's right here. But this is somebody else out in the ether spheres device. So we don't really know when they're going to open it or whatnot, so it takes a minute to actually work. So while it's talking, I'll kind of talk about what I'm going to do next. So I've demoed it a bunch of times where I just drop an in-map binary onto this guy. But what I'm going to do is just go straight for the exploitation. So again, I told you I was going to show you the oldest and most obnoxious exploit ever, which doesn't even want to open, so let's kill the database. So if you've ever taken exploit development class, you've probably run into war FTP, really old exploitable thing. So I wrote some C code for it. Well, I stole some C code for it, let's be honest, to exploit this vulnerability. We can run C code on our mobile devices. iPhone just runs Objective-C. Android, it's just a Linux kernel. Everything at the baseband level is all C code. So all I have to do is compile it with the cross compiler, and I can run any C code I want from an exploited device and start hitting stuff on my local network, as we shall see here. All right, so we're back. So if I go to number 2, send commands to an agent. Agent checked in, so I haven't failed the demo gods yet. I'm not funny. All right, so here's all the things we can do. So I'm going to go straight to actually dropping a binary because apparently I talk too much. But first I got to compile it. So you might be like, well, if I just run GCC on my Linux, it's not going to run on the phone. That's hard. Setting up the Android NDK, well, it took me several days. So I added it to SPF. Compile code to run on mobile devices. Number 9. Compile code to run on ARM Android. What's the file I want to compile? Well, I have to make it hard for myself and put it in a really hard to find path. Root, smartphone pin test framework. Can't name my own tool properly. It's all about sunscreen, you know. Root, smartphone pin test framework, exploits. It's in the Windows directory to hit Windows boxes, so we're basically just becoming Metasploit now. So we have a bunch of exploits we can run in C code. So it's exploits, Windows, and for the demo, it's warfdpmeterpreter.c. So let me just ask, when anybody here sees a Metasploit Meterpreter prompt come up, you clap, right? Because I've been to a lot of places where like, what's that? Something just happened. So at least I know at DerbyCon that, you know, if the Metasploit Meterpreter prompt happens, you guys will know something cool happened, right? War FTP Meterpreter for the win. It threw a bunch of, you know, warnings because I'm a bad C coder. What else is new? So I just compiled that on the fly to run on the Android. And I say send commands to an agent. I can download a file, so I can drop any file I like. This is really interesting from a mobile antivirus perspective, because actually mobile antivirus cannot see what is in your application directories. You can drop something that completely has a signature. You know, I just give up. I really tried. I was like, oh, I'm going to give a talk on mobile antivirus, and it was just too easy. Where do I want to put it? I don't care. I just go like this, whatever. File name, war FTP Meterpreter, so I can at least call it. What? I didn't do that. That was not me. It's still plugged in. Oh, maybe it's not. We will fix this. I just like to mess with Adrian, you know. Someday they're going to throw me out of the info sucks. Is that not funny? Info sucks. Would it be better if I said info sex? Would you like that? There we go. If you put sex in anything, it'll fix all the problems. Sex. All right, where's my screen? You gotta let me do my demo. I bored these people for the last 40 minutes. There we go. All right, so we can deliver stuff to our agents via HTTP or SMS, so I'll just do HTTP. So what it's going to do is actually drop that binary onto the Android system, and it's going to actually make it executable as well, so then we can actually run it. So I guess I could kind of show it to you. So every application on here has its own files directory, com.example.android.google.apis. It has a files directory, and it dropped War FTP interpreter onto there. Again, you can just do that on any application you want. You don't have to ask for a permission. So we can just make it executable, and since it's owned by us, we can now run it. Yeah, they don't think this is remotely scary. All right, so I can execute it. So number 7, execute a command. Command I want to run, war FTP interpreter, binary I just dropped. And I want to send it to this guy over here, which is 192.168.20.101. And just the way I wrote the code, it wants the port as well. So this is just, again, just basic exploit code for some known vulnerability, because we've never had those in our networks, never. Known vulnerabilities, not me. And was it downloaded? Absolutely, yes it was. So we can run a system binary or anything we drop to the system. Again, I'll just deliver it over HTTP. And so I have a Metasploit listener listening over here, waiting for this to come in. And then if we wait, we should see this guy blow up. You can't fail on me now. I don't know what I'd do if my demo failed at DerbyCon. The world would fail to function. There it goes. So we see War FTP interpreter just spat out some nastiness. So War FTP just got exploited. And if we come back to our listener that we have somewhere on the internet. And I just want to say for the record that DerbyCon, you are the best conference ever, and I love you. So, what did we just do, basically? I mean, I guess in this case, we were all really together, but we exploited a mobile device, and then we attacked something else and made it throw its shell out to the internet. We could also have it throw it back to the mobile device and do it over SMS, but you don't want me, like, holding up phones over here. And they're telling me I'm done. So, I am going to show you my last 2 slides, and then I'll get off the fucking stage. All right, so people say rebuttals about this. Mobile antivirus, fuck it, it's over. MDM, again, fuck it, it's over. Security awareness training, well, it hasn't worked yet. Make it happen. Go do some security awareness training. This is me. The best way to get in touch with me is on Twitter. It's just my name. Again, I love you, DerbyCon. Woo! And again, this is all open source and on GitHub, so if you want to play with it or add your own stuff to it, by all means do. So, thanks again. Go see the next awesome talks.